There are things in Foxborough that never turn into giant headlines, but they absolutely move the board behind the scenes. Who protects Drake Maye? Who gives this secondary real depth when things get tight? Who respects or disrespects the quarterback in rankings? And who is already falling behind in the race for defensive snaps? Today's Patriots picture is not screaming, it is whispering decisions. And when a roster is coming off a massive season, those little details separate continuity from a stumble. So stay with me, hit that like button and subscribe, because today we are reading the signals before they become national noise. When people talk about Morgan Moses, plenty of them see the age and instantly try to push the conversation toward goodbye. I do not buy that clean of a read. On a winning roster, a 35-year-old tackle is not just an older body on the line. He becomes a trust check. And based on what has been reported, Moses is still a long way from being some symbolic bridge. He is going into the second year of his 3-year deal in New England, likely as the starting right tackle, after a season where he played more than 1,000 offensive snaps and helped keep the structure standing when the line went through some rough stretches. In pass protection, he allowed 29 pressures, including 1 sack and 5 quarterback hits. In the run game, his 77.1 grade from Pro Football Focus ranked 17th at the position. For a player at this stage of his career, that is not some small footnote. That is real, useful production. But the Patriots did not draft Caleb Lomu in the first round just to decorate the room. And Will Campbell is also in that young tackle group, on a rookie contract, with the future being built. That is the real chessboard. Moses does not need to prove he has had a career. He needs to prove he is still the best option right now, while Lomu learns, absorbs, grows, and gets ready to step in without wrecking the offensive plan. And this is the part I think some fans underrate. Protecting Drake Maye is not only about picking the younger or more explosive athlete. It is about who communicates better, who sees blitzes, who does not panic when the defense shifts the front before the snap, and who lets the quarterback play clean football. Moses reached 10,000 career snaps, something extremely rare for offensive linemen since he entered the league in 2014. That experience matters. So behind the scenes, the Patriots' question is not sentimental. It is practical. How long can the veteran hold the job without blocking the succession plan? If Moses gives you leadership, steady protection, and solid run blocking, Lomu can wait for the right moment. If he slips, the switch comes earlier. And that quiet kind of decision could shape the health of Maye's entire season. The Quan McMillan situation has that summer back channel feel. The kind that starts small, runs through a contract conversation in another building, and suddenly turns into an opening for a team that is paying attention. The Broncos kept McMillan with a second-round restricted free agent tender, so Denver clearly showed value. But there is also an uncomfortable layer there. He wants a long-term deal. He came in as an undrafted player, and Jahdae Barron, Denver's 2025 first-round pick, is coming up behind him asking for a bigger role. That is where Eliot Wolf needs to keep the phone charged. The Patriots are no longer in that roster-building mode where they are just trying to look competitive. After a ridiculous turnaround from 4-13 to 14-3, an AFC East title, and a Super Bowl appearance, the problem changes names. Before it was identity, now it is margin, depth, injury insurance. The piece that might not make the poster but keeps the season from wobbling when 2 starters are banged up or when an opponent starts hunting matchups in the slot. And the top of the Patriots secondary is strong. Christian Gonzalez is a star, and the team already picked up his 5th-year option. Carlton Davis III and Marcus Jones give you an interesting foundation, but once you look past them, you feel the squeeze. Karan Prunty is a 5th-round rookie. Kindle Vildor, Charles Woods, and other back-end roster names can compete, sure, but if Gonzalez or Davis misses time, that conversation gets tense fast. McMillian would change the temperature. He was one of the better nickel corners in the league, with only 2 penalties and a 77.3 passer rating allowed when targeted, according to PFF. That is not just a pretty stat. For New England, it would mean protecting Marcus Jones, covering for absences, mixing packages, and not letting the entire defense depend on one adjustment. Jones is 5'8", had his first more settled inside role in 2025, and still has a history of snaps outside. McMillan would bring real flexibility, not camp talk comfort. The price is where the room gets quiet. A 3rd-round pick could be too steep if the contract is expiring. A package of day 3 picks, maybe a 4th and a 6th, starts to feel more workable, especially with the Patriots holding 3 6th-rounders in 2027. And if the yearly number stays under $10 million, below the top of the market where Marcus Jones sits, the math gets interesting. But there is a thin line here. Smart aggression is not paying whatever it takes just because Drake Maye's rookie contract window is cheap. It is recognizing when another team is stuck between contract pressure, depth, and a recent draft pick. If Denver lets this conversation go cold for too long, New England needs to be there, quiet, alert, ready to turn somebody else's discomfort into its own advantage. There are rankings I read and think, fine, opinions are part of the game. But when Drake Maye shows up 9th among starting NFL quarterbacks after the season he just had, I stop. Because there is a big difference between being cautious and acting like his leap was just a nice little stretch to watch. Maye is coming off a year where he threw for 4,394 yards, 31 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. More than that, he was the face of a turnaround from 4 to 13 to 14 to 3, an AFC East title, and the Patriots' first Super Bowl trip since the 2018 season. And still, PFF put him 9th heading into 2026. 9th. For a guy who finished 2nd in the MVP race behind Matthew Stafford. The funny part is that PFF's own explanation recognizes part of what makes Maye dangerous. Including the playoffs, he ranked 5th among qualified quarterbacks in passing grade on throws outside the numbers, at 89.6. He also ranked top 5 in yards per attempt, touchdowns, and completion percentage on those throws. So we are not talking about a quarterback being hidden by easy tricks, protected in the middle of the field, or living on cheap throws. We are talking about somebody who attacks the sidelines, stretches the defense, and has already shown control in one of the harder areas of the field. Now add A.J. Brown to that picture, add Romeo Doubs, add a more settled offensive line, add Eli Raridon as a young tight end piece. If Maye already produced like that before this room got stronger, the real question is not why he landed at 9th. The question is who will have the nerve to keep that number there once the season starts showing the fit. Sure, the schedule can be tougher. Regression can happen in some areas. Football is not a wish list on a spreadsheet. But come on, if you watched Maye drag New England to that level and still talk about him like he needs an invitation to enter the elite conversation, your read is late. Patriots fans, I want to feel the temperature here. Is Maye at 9th enough respect? Or is that disrespect dressed up as cold analysis? The video of Haku squatting serious weight in the gym is the kind of thing that calms part of the fan base for about 5 minutes. I get it. After an offseason with injuries, missed spring practices, and a contract still hanging out there, any image of the rookie working hard becomes a positive signal. And yes, it deserves to be treated as positive. A player who spent too much time off to the side needs to show that the body is responding, that the explosion is coming back, and that he has not disappeared while the clock keeps running. But the Patriots behind-the-scenes read cannot stop at the video. Jacas is still reportedly the only second-round pick from the 2026 draft who has not signed. And when you pair that with the fact that he missed the entire spring, the issue becomes more than paperwork. It becomes preparation, defensive installation, system language. The timing and edge rusher needs to understand protection, tight end help, running back chips, quarterback cadence, and all the things you do not learn under a barbell. I like Jacas' profile. The Patriots clearly did too because they invested a second-round pick in him. The plan is for him to help a position that is not exactly swimming in depth. Draymond Jones arrived to be an important piece. Harold Landry III is on the other side, but there is a physical concern there. After that, the list is Elijah Ponder, Braden Swinson, Jesse Luketa, and Quintavious Hutchins. There is competition, there are bodies, there are camp names. But for a defense that wants to play serious football in January, quantity is not the same thing as security. And this is probably where Mike Vrabel sees the situation very differently from the fan who only watched the Instagram story. Vrabel knows the value of disciplined edge play. He knows pressure is not only sacks, it is squeezing the pocket, forcing the ball out fast, setting the edge against the run, and not losing contain when the quarterback escapes. If Jacas arrives mentally behind, he can be strong in the weight room and still late on the field. That is the brutal part for a rookie. On the other side, I am not turning concern into a verdict. If the contract gets done, if he enters camp healthy, if the staff can speed up the learning curve, Jacas can still become a very useful answer. Sometimes talent starts messy and locks in once the routine stabilizes. But New England cannot just fold its arms and wait for everything to fix itself. The internal read has to stay cold. The video helps the physical feeling, but it does not erase the missing reps. The contract needs to get done, the adjustment has to accelerate, and the front office has to decide whether it trusts this edge room or whether one more piece is still needed before camp exposes the problem to everybody. In the end, today's picture is pretty clear. New England is not looking for a miracle. It is managing details. Morgan Moses is holding the present while Lomu Lomu waits. McMillan is sitting there as an opportunity if Denver blinks. Drake Maye is still being treated by some people like a promise, even though he has already played like a franchise lead. And Jesus has to turn training, contract movement, and learning into real presence. That is how a contender holds up, winning the small conversations before they become big problems. If you want every Foxborough read without lazy noise, subscribe to Patriots Club fans, hit the like button, and stay here, because this season is going to be decided in the signals.